Hi, this video is going to be about a couple of weapons that are really going to shoot up to meta status next week. And the reason for that is both of them will be getting a straight flat damage buff. Starting with one, which you might have been able to guess from the thumbnail, is Rufus's Fury and its Adept version. Right now, in the Master Root of Nightmares raid, at the time of this recording, the Macrocosm, the planet encounter, is the challenge. And if you complete that challenge on Master, it'll drop you an Adept Rufus. And Adept Rufus, specifically, will be getting 2 buffs next week. Those include being able to enhance any perks you get on your Adept Rufus, and also a flat 25% damage buff, which will bring it closer to SMGs, which are king right now. So what I'm mostly going to talk about doesn't really matter if you have an Adept Rufus or a normal Rufus, but if you'd like to get an Adept Rufus, it's the weekend, you can get your friends together, attempt the Master Challenge, and if you don't want to do the whole Master Raid up to that point, which I don't and I didn't, you can check out my most recent video, which gives you a way to skip all of the raid up until the challenge, and you only have to do the one encounter that drops Adept loot. So, with how to get it out of the way, let's talk about why this thing is gonna be meta next week. Factoring in the 25% buff that it's getting, which honestly by itself makes it worthy of a slot in your loadout, it is far and away the best strand primary weapon. One thing which puts this above everything else, and even amongst my highest rated weapons in the game, it can get Demolitionist or Pugilist in the left column. This perk usually always rolls in the right, and with Strand, especially Warlocks, which you'll see is the footage in the background, I'm utilizing Demolitionist and Hatchling, leading to the most Threadlings that are possible in the game right now. Of course, that doesn't mean only Warlocks can utilize how crazy this gun is. Titans and Hunters can build around that too, especially using Pugilist for that melee ability energy, which I think is a lot more important on those classes. And even outside of that, again, the 25% damage buff just brings this weapon up and allows it to perform similarly to the other S tier strand weapon, being the Immortal. But in honesty, the Rufus's Fury perk pool is just better, especially if you're trying to go for a PvE role. So that's Rufus taken care of. I love this gun. You'll probably love this gun, especially with the buff it's getting. I sound like a broken record because it really is just a huge change coming next week. So go out there, either get your Rufus crafted, complete your Rons this week, or get your friends together and try that Master Challenge. Because if you're a hardcore player, I'd say it's worth it. And you don't have to worry about farming this encounter on all 3 characters to get your role, because Master Nezrek is there to save you. After completing the encounter, you'll be able to go in to the vendor there at the end of the raid and purchase as many rolls of whichever adept weapons you want, as long as you have the spoils. Which means even if you don't have these weapons crafted, like my Rufus roll, see it on screen now, it's bad. Tap the trigger Thresh is a very, very bad roll for Adept Rufus. But I'm going to spend probably all of my spoils on trying to get that Demolitionist Hatchling roll, which will really detract from the RNG that we need. So, like I said, you can get your roll this week, but you don't need to count on this one being a god roll for you to use it. Just complete Master Nezrek and buy as many Adept Rufuses as you need until you're satisfied with the roll, and then also, of course, if you don't care about the Adept mods and the slight stat bumps you get for having an Adept weapon, just use the crafted version, because, it's almost just as good. But now, let's move on to the second gun in the thumbnail, which I'd say is a little bit more easy to guess. It's the BXR Battler. This gun is my favorite gun of all time, and it's getting a 20% damage buff next week. I already used this thing inside of GMs, day 1 raids, master raids, because it can do everything. It is a jack of all trades with 0 downsides. Like I said with the Rufus, it can roll Demo and Pugilist in the left column, and Incandescent in the right, leading to my favorite perk combination of all time. But even outside the perks, let's go back to that jack of all trades thing. You can see it's a pulse rifle, a long range weapon. Sometimes when you're doing content, you kind of need to scrap up close. And you've probably used the BXR before because it's still really popular even for being a pulse rifle. You can do that. Its special frame allows you to hip fire that thing like an SMG, and then when you've got that Vandal a million miles away from you, you can just ADS, and now you have a pulse rifle that can reach those ranges where SMGs can't. So I've always thought that this weapon has been a contender against SMGs, but now it's just going to be flat out 20% better next week, which I haven't even really had that set into my mind that it's just going to be incredible. With all my ramblings being said about the BXR, if you don't have one, don't have it crafted or whatever, you get it from Dares of Eternity, and I'll probably make another video going over Dares of Eternity and why you should be checking on it every couple of weeks. But once you get it crafted, enhance the perks, have the best perk combination in the game, which is present on both BXR and Rufus. Kind of easy to tell why I like these so much. And regardless of what subclass you're on, it's just, they're incredible. They're so good. But I really want to know if you're looking forward to having either of these weapons in a boosted form. Most of you probably use an SMG, whether you're conscious of how good it is or not. And I'm really excited that next week we're finally going to have some shakeup. I know a lot of people are still going to use SMGs, but at least in my mind, I know using my God Roll Rufus and my BXR, well, I was already going to use the BXR, but I can use the Rufus over my Immortal now, because it'll just be doing more damage. And are there any other weapons that you're looking forward to get buffed? Because remember, it's not just autos and pulses that are getting buffed, it's also scouts, sidearms, and hand cannons. Because even on the hand cannon front, I didn't bring it up in this video, but Ios Luna with Headstone is sick. It's dank. I love using that in PvE. And maybe with the 20% buff that it's also getting, it can find a place in my loadouts as well. But again, bring it back to you. I want to hear what you're going to use next week. With these buffs coming and your adept raid weapons getting enhanceable, let me know. And especially for you BXR fans out there, let me know you exist, because the more people that I can bring into this cult, well, the better. So that's all I've really got. Get these weapons, use them, be surprised. And if you want to support me, support this channel, and you can't think of a comment, let's just type Rufus. And of course, everybody that made it this far, you have my immense gratitude. I'm so happy that you enjoy my stuff, or at least find me interesting enough to stick around so long. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you around.